This is the Acadia Comedy Club, nestled in a trapper base of operations. It appears that they've been using some old pre-war industrial piece of equipment that turns wood into, well, logs, lumber, for them to build this little construct around what is a common sight in the Commonwealth, which is this little ranger cabin. They even had some form of power, so I'd imagine this was like a pre-war lumber camp of some sort, and they've just scavenged things as they've went along, made it their own little home. There isn't too much going on upstairs, but when you go inside of the building here, you can find yourself a little chem cooler just hiding behind here. Hopefully you get something a little nicer than squirrel bits. Not that it's a bad thing. There are no mattresses or beds here for you to sleep. Makes you wonder where exactly the trappers reside. Do they just fall asleep in their chairs? There's a few bottles if you're playing survival, and when we go outside to the right here, there's one usually using the outhouse here. All the other logs do lead me to believe that either they moved this here or it was here before the war, and it seems this is the area that they may have cut down the trees. Given the amount of time, I would say that this was actually quite recent. And there's also some lights around the comedy club. Now, why do I think it's a comedy club? Well, I've just had a bit of a good guess on that one. We've got some patio chairs, lots of beer bottles, and considering the microphone, you'd imagine that's what they do. By the way, this was also filmed for Christmas Day, so that's why I'm wearing the hat. Christmas 2024. Normally with the mic, if you go to the fraternal post in the Commonwealth, Nate will actually do a wee bit of a sort of speech that he was learning for the Veterans Association. Although in this case he doesn't, because this microphone is not interactable in the slightest. Could be improv. Maybe the Raiders just set it up for a bit of fun. Like the Atom Cats doing their poetry night. You know, you need a wee bit of amusement in such dire times. It would make sense if the trappers thought it was a good idea to try their hand at it. This is located between Eagles Cove Tannery and the Aldersea Day Spa. Perhaps they are actually trappers from Oceanarium and they just came down here to get some supplies. Now, if we swap in to camera mode, have a little fly around here, we can even see, is there anything in the back of the van? Nope, no van. Nothing there. Don't know why they've got the wall equipment around it. Guess they just had spare lumber and they thought, hey, you know what we can do with this? And they set it up. Perhaps to give them a bit of protection when they're doing their little comedy club. We'll talk more about this area perhaps in a future episode, but it does appear that, well, with all the tractors, they were using some heavy pieces of equipment. It's implied here and there that they are able to use vehicles like the NCR in New Vegas are implied to use trucks. And even the Brotherhood, you can find a random encounter where they're using an APC. Despite the fact you see no APCs at the airport, it's just implied that they do indeed use vehicles. Obviously, you don't see any of them in use other than vertibirds. There's a group of radstags that normally patrol this now open meadow because of all the trees being felled, and some rad rabbits that are always running about, or should I say hopping about. If you're hungry, this would be a great place to refill the tank. You can see Oceanarium a little further ways north, and if we head east, eventually you end up at the Aldersea Day Spa. That pretty much concludes the Acadia Comedy Club. Thank you for watching.